ended last time, right? We were talking about this idea of consciousness. It's a very interesting topic. So, the scientific community, what part of the brain has the consciousness was the question last time. I kind of drifted away from the topic. But, brain is all about computing, all about, motor control, the body movements, and all about the even the what do you call, some of the part of the brain also processes or is a cause for the hormonal balance in the body, correct? I don't know which part of the brain is controlling the hormonal process of the body, but and a lot of organs they manage it themselves, but you doctors probably know it better than me. But so the what do you call, the cerebrum has the most neural controls or neural process happens in the brain, but it's all about motor control. And some part of the cerebrum probably controls the what do you call, decision making. Suppose if a tennis player is playing a tennis, and based on the situation where he wants to play the ball, his decision, that decision happens in the cerebrum, correct? And that has more than even though it's a small part of the brain at the back, uh, below the occipital lobe, it's still and it has more neurons or neural network more than the cerebrum, even though it's a small part, but still it is only for decision making. But where is this awareness coming from? How does the tennis player know he's in a tennis court and playing tennis with the opponent? All this awareness, where does that come from? So it cannot be part of the brain. So it is something more, it has to be more than the brain. But a lot of times the level of consciousness, we equate it to this computing capacity or the intelligence. The state of consciousness has nothing to do with the intelligence. We kind of somehow we try to equate that. So that means if I, by through meditation, if my state of consciousness is improving or expanding, that doesn't mean I become more intelligent. But there are techniques available to make someone very intelligent through meditation. Okay. But that's not the goal, right? It's increasing the consciousness. There was, long time ago, I was watching a documentary. If the aliens had more intelligence than us, they would have destroyed themselves by now. You see, as the human intelligence is growing, they're making only the intelligence is only used to make more and more powerful destructive weapons. Today, two or three powerful countries can come together and destroy the entire planet. And they're already talking about establishing colonies in the moon if that happens. See where the intelligence is taking. If the conscious state of all the human beings is expanded, that process of destructive process would completely revert. They would live their life in more constructive way than the destructive way. Yesterday during the Lake Nuna, I asked this question: if a movie scene is shown where the hero is going in a car through the mountains, and if the scene is shown more than a minute, what would you expect? And out of 10, 5 of them said there is going to be a crash. See how our thinking process is. That's how our intelligence works. All intelligence is used only for mostly used for the destructive purposes on the name of construction. We are building something more intelligence. So this artificial intelligence we are talking about, how much ever compute power you can add to that. I mean, just I was giving this example of neurons in the cerebrum and cerebellum, right? How much ever computing power you add, it can never become conscious. It can become more and more intelligent, but can never become conscious. Right? So when it can never become conscious, eventually it finds only destruction. See, I mean, everybody knows what is right, what is wrong. But we inevitably choose what is destructive for us. Why? So what is the use of having that information, knowledge, but still I am going towards my own destruction? Even, I mean, take each individual, right? We know everything, but we cannot implement it. So once, I was in the presence of the previous, teacher, guru. His name is Chariji, or Pardasarthi Rajagopalachari. He said the only difference between a saint and an ordinary person is the saint can implement what he knows or what she knows. An ordinary person cannot do that because his conscious state does not permit it. So if I want to change my life towards enlightenment, so called, that enlightenment is nothing but to implement what I know. If I have to change that, I have to improve my conscious state, to expand my consciousness from where I am working. Even the most intelligent person, we know Einstein, only working from this level of consciousness. So intelligence and consciousness do that. There's no correlation. More consciousness doesn't mean more intelligence doesn't mean more consciousness. They don't go together. While coming in the flight, I was watching this Charlie Chaplin documentary. And that's when, where the audio or the voice is being added to the movies. And that was a big success. Until then, only silent movies were made. So Charlie Chaplin made a statement that voice is great, but silence is greater. Right? And we also read silence is the language of God. But what is that silence language we are talking about? The language of the consciousness is silence. When I go into, my mind gets attached to the ultimate state of consciousness, it goes into a true silence where it can truly absorb this highest divine principle. And then it can bring that principle back into its life. And then it can implement what it knows. It develops the ability to implement what it knows. And that is what we are attempting in meditation. Otherwise, we are kind of completely caught up in this emotional drama. So much drama happens in our life. We spend so much time in this emotional drama. Okay. So it's very, very, very important to understand this and apply this meditation correctly in our lives. So that's all I have to say today. But we can discuss. I mean, you guys can share. We have some time. If we don't have any senses, would we have consciousness? Yes. Still, yes.
Yes.
So that again, like I'm saying, right, the physical sensory system or the brain system has nothing to do with the consciousness. So the level of consciousness I'm accessing is according to my requirement. So there is no activity in our life which can access this super conscious state. If I want to solve a scientific problem, or if I want to discover something, if I want to better nuclear bomb than what exists today, that doesn't require high level of consciousness. So we don't have access to it. So meditation is a way of working, because now I want to understand this most subtlest essence, the principle of God. That requires a lot of the most expanded consciousness, that activity. So if I'm engaging in that activity, my consciousness expands. Otherwise, to deal with anything in my life, it doesn't require more than what we have already. Or if all my sensory perceptions go, for example, if I go into the coma, I'll have only access to that much consciousness to survive in the coma, or exist in the
Well,
coma.
if you are brain dead, you're considered basically dead. But you're saying that you still have consciousness even if you have brain dead, huh?
Correct. So
Then
the classic
you're
example.
saying that these people are not really dead and shouldn't be allowed to die.
They're physically dead, probably brain dead, but their consciousness is still as intact as before they went into the coma. So they are aware that they are in coma.
Okay, how do you know?
How do you know? When you go into the meditative state, you will know you are exactly going to the same state.
No, but I guess it's rare where people. People, coma is not the same as brain dead, because coma, you still have brain activity.
Correct.
Brain dead, you don't.
So where all the neuroplasticity of the brain shuts off, correct? So how do you? There the consciousness is still there, but your interpreter is missing. Okay, so the conscious vibrations from the conscious state reaches this mental level, and mental level is where it's interpreted. So basically what's happening there is your interpreter is missing, but the same conscious state still exists. So that's why.
Then then a trainer is able to connect with someone who's brain dead.
Correct.
Can you tell?
Say that your question one more time.
Okay. Have trainers connected with someone who's supposedly brain dead? And can they tell?
No. See, because when you're connecting to a person, it's conscious state to conscious state. It's not a mental state to mental state. So the connection is happening at a much more deeper level. So, this is an incident which Chariji wrote in his book. So Babuji was talking about a person, and he's saying, I'm going to do so and so with that person if that person visits India. That lady is from Germany, and the Germany ladies from the Germany, and she's already passed away, and Babuji kept on talking about her as if she exists. So I'm kind of taking that level of example, and I can emphatically say that even after somebody is died, their conscious state still exists. That is what the subtle body is. So there are times where the trainers and the masters have worked on these subtle bodies so that they can be pushed further into the higher expansion of consciousness, even after they have passed away. So all these things are possible. See, it's like we can take, what is the proof? I don't know. I would say we have to just take it at the face value. Do I need to believe in it to practice heartfulness? No, absolutely not. Okay. All right.
Do you want to talk about what's happening in India right now?
Yes. Okay.
Very briefly.
Sure.